Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue with Moses and the Israelites. Now remember, God led the Israelites out into the wilderness. During the day, they were to follow the large cloud, and then at night, the pillar of fire. Now remember, God kept his promises. He parted the Red Sea. He turned the bitter water into sweet water. But now the people were hungry. God's special cloud led them out into the wilderness, into a dry, sandy land where there was not a lot of water, not a lot of fruit, not a lot of animals so they could eat. And the people started to get hungry, and they started to complain to Moses again. And again they said, "We wish we hadn't left Egypt. At least we would have food to eat." But they were forgetting all that God had done for them, parting the Red Sea, keeping them safe, giving them a cloud to follow during the day and a pillar of fire to follow at night, giving them sweet water, all those terrible plagues, but keeping the Israelites from the plagues. Remember, God did not send the plagues to Goshen, where the Israelites lived, and they had forgot that. So God had to remind them again of his promise. God told Moses that the people would not die of hunger. He did not lead them out into the wilderness so that they could die of being hungry. So God sent quail every night at supper time. A quail is a type of bird. And every night God would send quail for the people to eat at night. And then in the morning, every morning from heaven, manna would fall. And every morning the people would get up, and on the ground would be manna. Now when the people first saw this, they didn't know what it was. And they said to Moses, "What is this?" Moses said, "This is bread that the Lord has provided for you to eat." So they ended up calling it manna, which means, "What is this?" And the bread was like a sweet wafer, or almost like a cookie. And I know you guys like cookies, so you probably would have liked it. But again, every night there were quail for the people to eat and manna in the morning. So once again, God kept his promise. Now, Moses did have a rule. Well, I should say God had a rule that he told to Moses. Moses told the people that they were only to collect enough manna for that day and no more. Except on the sixth day, they were to collect enough for the sixth day and the seventh day, which is their Sabbath day, when they were to worship God. Sadly, some of them did not obey, and they collected even more manna than they had to. And you know what happened? By the next day, it was spoiled. It had gotten worms and buggy. It's so important to follow God's word. But God kept his promise and kept them safe and fed them every night and every morning. Now, while the people were putting up their tents out in the wilderness, Moses climbed up the high mountain. He climbed up the high mountain to talk to God. God reminded Moses that he had brought them out of Egypt, that he was going to take care of them on their journey. He told Moses that if the people obey him, that he would bless them in a special way. Now, when Moses came down the mountain, he told the people that in 3 days, the Lord was going to speak to them. They said, "We want to be his special people and we will obey." On the morning of the 3rd day, God sent thunder and lightning. And a cloud, a dark cloud, descended upon the mountain. The people heard the sound of a trumpet. God's people were afraid. God told them not to climb on the mountain, not even to touch it, because he was there. And God is holy. As the sound of the trumpet got louder, God came down on top of the mountain with smoke and fire. And God called Moses back up to the mountain. So Moses went back up to the top of the mountain. And on the high hill, God gave Moses some rules or commandments for his people to obey. God knew that if his people would love him and obey his rules, the commandments, they would be so happy. These are some of the rules that God gave Moses. Do not love anyone or anything more than me. Do not make any wooden or stone idols to worship. Remember to worship God on his special day. Honor your father and mother. Honor is a word for obey your parents. Love them and obey them. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not tell lies. And there were many more commandments. Moses read these commandments to the people. Moses told God's people that God had given them these rules to help them, to keep them safe, and to keep them from sinning. God knew what was best for his people. God always knows what is best. All right, tomorrow we're going to learn about how Moses was up on the mountain and something terrible happened. Wait till you find out. Say dun, dun, dun.